The First Row Sports Show. Check us out on Twitter and Facebook.
Once again to the sideline. Batted up. Oh, God! Stokely down the sideline. Can they catch him?
With your hosts Darnell Duff and Brady Lang.
Alrighty, good evening and welcome to the First Row Sports Show. You can only do something for the first time. Well, obviously one time, so let's do it tonight. We got lots to talk about. We're going to be talking about the Leafs, Bruins, Jackets, Capitals, and of course the Toronto Blue Jays. Now I bring in Brady Lang. Brady, you're obviously a big Leafs fan. Yeah, pretty pumped up for tonight, I would assume.
Nah.
Come on.
This is actually, I want to add that this is the first row sports show. First row sports show.
Yeah.
First.
I don't know if you're trying to go for a pun, but it's
a first.
It's the first. But let's talk some hockey. Let's get off this whole first row sports show thing. That is the name of the show, and we're going to be bringing you these podcasts as much as we can, obviously. But the Leafs and the Bruins tonight. A couple of blowout wins from the Bruins in the first two games. Maple Leafs came back in Game 3. The question is, can the Leafs win tonight and tie it up at 2, or are they going to be going back to Beantown down 3-1?
It's been a dogfight. Like, it has been the best series to actually watch, and everyone's going to say, no, it's the Jets. It's the Jets. No, it's the Leafs and the Bruins, because both teams legitimately hate each other, and you can see it in both teams' eyes. And the best part about the Leafs winning last game was Nas is going to be playing one more game, which is going to be awesome, because it's nasty Nas, right?
But when he does get back on the ice in Game 5, how many minutes do you think he's going to play? Like, he's shown that he goes into the penalty box a lot, and that's something the Toronto Maple Leafs can't afford. The Boston Bruins are 5 for 11 on the power play. They went 0 for 1 in their only power play in Game 3, but you can't be in the box if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs. So when he does come back in Game 5, Kadri, what do you expect his minute toll to be?
Well, Babcock, of course. I will refer to him as Babs because he is a god. But anyways, Babs has two different ways of looking at this. And he can either shorten the bench and kind of pull back the reins on Nas a little bit and make him watch, because he was an idiot that first game. There was more than one instance where he could have been suspended. He was running around, kneeing guys, boarding guys. Doesn't matter if they turned or anything, you know.
Oh, come on.
I'm kidding.
Let's be serious with the turd thing.
Yes.
Come on.
But there's two ways you can look at it. He can pull back the reins, or he can also give everything back to Nas and just, rattle his cage and get him out there and get him to piss off some Bruins, because you saw Brad Marchand being an idiot. He literally kicked Travis Dermott. Did you see that play? That was nuts. Like, that was a total soccer play right there. He came in and literally went right after his ankle. I'm not sure if you've seen it or not, but it was just like, I can't believe Marchand is still out on the ice and still running around, because you got to have guys like Nas out there. You got to have guys like Martin out there, just strictly due to the fact that he's going to hurt someone, and he's hurt people in the past. So, you know what? Put Nas out there with Marchand. We'll see them go toe-to-toe. It doesn't even matter if Chara's going to come after him, because Chara's been out there going after Martin and Matthews. And you have three good lines that are going to be just rolling. Chara can't play a full game. Chara can't be on the ice every time Marchand touches the ice.
He's 41 years old. He's double the age of Austin Matthews. Of course he can't play a full game, Chara, but he's one of the most critical players on the ice for Boston. And if Boston's going to have success tonight in game number 4, you got to think Zdeno Chara is going to be right in the middle of it. You have to think he's going to be right on the ass of Austin Matthews all game, who, by the way, did not score for the first 154 minutes of the series. He scored last game. It was obviously the most important goal of the series for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Chara is going to be all over him all game.
I think the biggest thing that you saw with that goal the other night was the emotion coming out of Matthews' face. It felt like he literally took the monkey and ripped it off his back. And going back to last year, seeing how dominant he was against the Washington Capitals, you know what? You just took Austin Matthews, you pissed him off for 2 games. Well, what's going to happen now? Matthews is going to come back, and he is going to be better than ever. And it's playoff Matthews. Who doesn't want to watch playoff Matthews? That guy's tearing it up every single game that he's actually playing in when he's not hurt. But when you got playoff Matthews out there, it's just,
But
he's coming out. Matthews.
But you have to think the Boston Bruins are pissed off too. They were beaten Game 3. They dominated Game 1 and 2. What right did they have to lose Game 3? Probably going on in their minds. We played like crap. We did not see the best Boston Bruins team in Game 1-2. We did not see the best Toronto Maple Leafs in Game 1 and 2. I don't think we saw the best Toronto Maple Leafs team in Game 3, but we certainly will see the best of both teams tonight. And I firmly believe that it's going to be one heck of a hockey game.
It's going to be rocking at the ACC tonight. You want to take a trip up to Toronto? I would.
Well, the game's in like an hour, not even an hour. And
quick jog.
Yeah, I don't jog, I walk. Should get there maybe for Game 4 of next season. Sure. You want to grab tickets for the season opener next year?
Sure, why not?
Let's talk about David Pastrnak a little bit. The line
Pastrnak and his dirty tape job.
And his sick amount of skill. But he didn't score a goal. He didn't get a point last game. And Marchand didn't either. And Bergeron. They had 20 points combined in the first couple of games. They scored no points in Game 3. Pastrnak could have had 4 goals. Let's call a spade a spade.
Obviously.
Frederik Andersen made by far the best save in the playoffs. One of the best saves I've actually ever seen. Like, Pastrnak had so much room to put that small little wafer in the net, and he couldn't because Andersen made an incredible save. But you would expect that line to come back heated tonight. They're probably pissed off from Game 3, as are the whole Boston Bruins team. You would expect that line to have some sort of, redeem themselves tonight.
Exactly, but Freddie's a streaky goalie too. Right?
They can't afford streaky. They need a 40 save performance again from Andersen. And
Good.
That can't be on 45 shots.
He will.
But that can't be on 45 shots. They can't allow 4 or 5 goals tonight. They allowed 2, which was good.
Put Roman Polak out there and just make him block everything. I don't care. It's going to happen. The Leafs are going to win, bud.
You want to get in front of Zdeno Chara's shot?
Well, you know what?
I don't. Heck, I get scared just watching at home and seeing him shoot.
Yeah, he's what, 8'2"?
Yeah.
And a half. On skates.
Final pick, Leafs Bruins. Who's picking up Game 4 tonight?
Oh, it's going to go into overtime and it's going to be 5-4. I feel like a little bit of a blowout. Like, it's going to go back and forth, 2 goals here, 2 goals there, and then we're going to go into overtime. And Mitchell Marner's going to come down the middle of the ice.
2 points last game.
Marner's going to dangle 3 guys. 3 defensemen, because they're going to have somehow 3 defensemen out there. And Marner's going to go forehand, backhand, roof daddy, baby. And the Toronto Maple Leafs will win. What do you think?
See, we're going to see a lot of fantasizing from Brady as we continue the First Row Sports Show. I think that was just a little bit, hey, maybe Patty Marleau 2 goals, but I'm taking the Bruins.
I went to a new level there.
The only way the Maple Leafs win tonight is if they stay out of the box. I'm taking the Bruins. The Bruins are going to win this game 4-2. They're going to take a 3-1 series lead. Toronto is going to win Game 5. The Bruins are going to win at the ACC in Game 6, 4-2. This is a really good team. This is a Bruins team. They have veteran presence. They have a good goaltender when he's hot. This is a team who was going to beat the Leafs in this series, and they could win the Stanley Cup. A lot of games left, but this is a Bruins team that will win tonight, no doubt about it.
I think you're wrong.
Coming up, we're going to be talking about the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Washington Capitals. Will Alexander Ovechkin finally show up? That's coming up. Don't you go anywhere. This is the First Row Sports Show.
You're listening to the First Row Sports Show.
Welcome back to the First Row Sports Show. Brady, sipping some water. You a little parched or what?
It's just all the fantasizing about the Leafs.
All your knowledge. That you're bringing.
The Leafs winning the cup, it's...
You don't even have a Leafs jersey on. You're literally, you have a shirt with hot dogs and hamburgers on it.
Phil Kessel, 2-time Stanley Cup champion.
Where he's not on the Leafs. It doesn't matter. Anyways,
he will be always a Leaf. He's still on their payroll. Damn it.
And now he's just winning cups with the Pittsburgh Penguins. You took the Philadelphia Flyers in the first round. What were you thinking?
Shut up. I was just trying to... You always have to get that one in there on your bracket, just like,
you don't have
Loyola
to.
Chicago.
No, you don't have to.
Loyola Chicago.
You don't have to.
Loyola Chicago.
Yeah, did they win? No, they busted.
Kind of, yeah, still. They won a little bit, but not really.
What was it, 0.003% of people in the world had them?
So, not my problem.
Well, kind of.
I didn't pick them.
Your bracket was busted.
So?
Let's talk
about... That's every year.
Yeah, well, we suck. Let's talk about the Blue Jackets and the Capitals. A pretty intriguing
series.
The
Bread Man!
And I know you were talking about the Leafs-Bruins series being the best, but statistically and bang on your buck, this is the best series.
Bang on your buck because they played the most minutes?
Yeah, obviously. All 3 games have went into overtime, double overtime in game 3. Kind of a crappy goal to finish that one, but still, this is a really good series. It's an intriguing one. And the thing that surprises me the most is the road team has won all 3 games. And you look at the Blue Jackets on home ice this year, 26-12-3. On the road, they're 19-18-4. And the Capitals are 28-11-2 on home ice. But the Caps lost both games, and with the Blue Jackets just above 500 record, they won both on the road. And then Washington came back on home on the road and won. Like, what's up with the road teams in this series? Like, do teams not know how to defend their own barn?
Hey, Darnell, you know those stats in the regular season?
I know.
Do you know what happens?
They don't matter.
Do you know what happens
Yeah.
once it becomes April? They go, gone. It doesn't matter anymore.
But
it's the playoffs.
They're still stats.
They are still stats,
they're still
but
stats.
It's the playoffs. Now we don't know where we're going now.
Yeah,
that was my...
That was just stupid of you.
Yeah.
So let's get into this series. Artemi Panarin,
the bread, man.
Fantastic 7 points. One of the biggest reasons that the Blue Jackets are having success. If they want to have success going forward, it's going to be him and Cam Atkinson. Do you expect them to rebound from that loss a couple days ago in double overtime and win tonight on home ice for the first home win of the series?
The Columbus Blue Jackets are the most underrated team in the NHL. And it's not even going on a limb and saying that. It's just truth. Like they're good. That's the only way I can explain it. And so is Washington. But at the same time, Columbus has been knocking at the door for a few years, and they always go underneath the carpet kind of thing. I missed that
under
one.
the radar.
They always go under the radar. But at the same time, like they've been knocking at the door. They've been Arkellan out here for years, man. Like they're good, and they got one of the best goaltenders in the entire league. So
now I got something to say about Bobrovsky. Love his name, Sergei Bobrovsky. But don't you remember in the regular season when the Blue Jackets went on a crazy winning streak? I think they were under the radar when they weren't playing good hockey. I don't think this is a team you can sleep on. I wouldn't agree that they're under the radar anymore, especially after that crazy winning streak they went on. You look at their depth, they have a lot of good players, and they have a good goaltender in Bobrovsky, but he has not been good in the playoffs so far. He has not been that good numbers-wise. 9th in the league, .925 save percentage in the playoffs, not talking about the regular season, the playoffs, and 10th in goals against average, 2.64. Not horrible, not good enough. Not good enough. Yes, good enough to win 2 games, but if he doesn't, stand on his head tonight and going forward in this series, Washington is a team who, at the end of the day, Alexander Ovechkin hasn't really showed up. Only 4 points so far. 28th, tied for 28th in the NHL.
Well, this is April. This is when he packs his bags.
Oh yeah. You're a hater of him too.
It sucks. I love Alexander Ovechkin. He's the best goal scorer we'll ever see on the ice. But he packs it up in the playoffs. Like you can't ignore that fact.
Well, and that's where the question comes in always for me when people ask who's better, Sidney Crosby or Ovechkin. 100% of the time I will say Sidney Crosby. He is the guy. If I had to pick one player, I'm picking Sidney Crosby.
He's more complete, obviously.
9 points in the playoffs so far. He's tied for first with 2 other players, including Kucherov and David Pastrnak. Mm-hmm. And you see the goals he's getting and the assists he's setting up, like a fantastic player. But you got to think if Washington does want to get back in this series, you can't have a defender leading your team in scoring right now like John Carlson with 7 points. That is great, awesome, but you got to start scoring with your forwards. Only one of his 7 points are goals. So it's not like he's scoring, he's setting up goals. But your goal scorer's got to start scoring, and that's got to be Ovechkin. Like, you can't just stand at the top of the circle in the playoffs like Ovi because it's playoffs. In the regular season, players don't really try, especially when they made the playoffs already.
Well, his play isn't sustainable in the playoffs, right? Because he does kind of just stand there.
He stands on the top of the circle.
When he wants to, though, he can go and beat the shit out of you in the corner.
But he doesn't want to.
Exactly.
He wants to stand on the top of the circle, and that is why he only has 4 points, and that is why the Caps might lose again. But I think they'll come back and win this series if Ovechkin, actually skates around and maybe, tries to do a dangle or...
It's gonna be heavily on Holtby's too. Holtby is a great goaltender, and putting Grubauer in...
Now, down the stretch, Grubauer played 11 of 15 games. He had the hot hand. Holtby was terrible. Now, let me just explain my point while you sort of grimace over there. Understandably so, I think, okay, Grubauer in game 1.
Holtby, Sasky boy.
You love Sasky. But if they lose in game 1, why would you go back to Grubauer for game 2? Why? Who in your right mind, if you're a coach, go back to him?
That's weird because it's Trotz. It's Trotz too. Like he's a Sasky boy too.
Yeah. Well, you got to get Holtby back. He's a Vezina winner. He knows how to win hockey games. Yes, he struggled down the stretch.
Yes,
but he's a really good goaltender. One of the best.
The thing is, Washington's so good they can kind of throw away a couple games, right?
Like I said,
as weird as that sounds.
Like I said, especially when you make the playoffs in the regular season, you stop playing as hard as you can. You look in the regular season at the end, guys are barely skating.
Yeah.
Like, they're not even moving. They're not really trying, chippy play. You got players from the ECHL and the AHL playing like it's garbage hockey at the end of the year. It's playoffs. Mm-hmm. Why would you not start a guy who has a Vezina? Why would you start Grubauer? I'm surprised Grubauer was even in Washington. I'm surprised Vegas didn't pick him up.
Vegas.
They have Fleury, so they don't really need him. And Fleury's
they have magic. They have magic.
The goat of hockey.
That's all they have is magic. It's like Vegas has a card up their sleeve or something.
Is that your joke of the day? You want to go to Vegas? Catch a game?
Sure.
They have the coolest pregame festivities in the world, Vegas does. Have you not seen them? Although they copied what San Jose did, where they bring that thing up from the roof, down from the roof, and the players skate through that.
Nothing they do is going to be original, but like, it's Vegas, so it is original. Everything actually, no, that's the opposite. Everything is unoriginal in Vegas, but it's just the way cookie crumbles, I guess. But yeah, it's Vegas. They're an expansion team. What do you want from them? To be original on Twitter or something?
Apparently, it's not unreasonable to ask them to win the Stanley Cup. One final say: Columbus, Washington. Only 2 games in the NHL tonight. You pick the Leafs. Who are you picking in the late game? Columbus or Washington?
Columbus. Yeah, in overtime, because every game with them goes into overtime except for one. But,
Triple overtime tonight?
Maybe.
What was it a few years ago? Was it the Ducks game? Who were they playing when it went into 3 overtimes?
The one that comes to mind when you say to me long playoff games, it was Minnesota and Colorado, and I believe Andrew Brunette scored in, I don't even know what 5 overtime is. There's double, there's triple,
quintuplet?
There's quintuplet. I don't know. I'm not a math major.
A lot of minutes.
It's a lot of minutes, but I'm pretty sure it was Brunette. I'll probably get this wrong. Hopefully someone can, call me on it, because I'm wrong a lot. And
that's what it would be nice.
It would be very nice to have a very long game, but I don't know. Are long playoff games, like long overtime games, dying because of how fast hockey is now?
It's a blink of an eye, something could happen, like literally.
Exactly.
But I wouldn't say they're dying. I would just say, teams don't want to play really long hockey. It's
guys
hard.
are better now than they were back then. Obviously, they're more skilled. They're going to put the puck in the back of the net. It's just a matter of just getting a crappy goal, that one opportunity. But, we'll see. We'll have to see when we'll see it.
In the playoffs in overtime, it's all about those breakdowns. The small little breakdowns amplify. If you're in the second overtime, your first shift out of the gate is tired. That happened the other day when Washington beat Columbus. It was a crappy goal, but, tired defenders, you miss a matchup and the puck's in the back of your net.
Exactly.
You got to focus the whole time. Coming up, it's the scrum. We got a question from a loyal viewer. And if you
loyal viewer, and this is the first one.
I know, right? Isn't that a good feeling?
Yeah.
I got to give myself a pat on the side of the
It's
sternum.
like he was chirping me on Twitter or something.
Probably was. Everybody chirps you.
Yeah.
If you want to chirp him.
It's my face.
Check him out on Twitter, Darble. It's the Duffy one. Check us out on Twitter. If you have a question for us on the First Row Sports Show, if it's baseball, basketball, hockey, cricket. I don't know so much about cricket, but I'll try and answer your question. It's the First Row Sports Show.
Crickets.
It's the scrum on the First Row Sports Show.